So think about it. All the professions, men are no longer teaching in schools. They're declining. They're only represented in higher education. And now that's declining. I think it's like 60-40 and dwindling. Women are going to take over higher education. So men are going into different fields. So think about it this way, ladies. You only want the look. It has nothing to do with the amount of money that's made. Men are actually making hella bread. The more women that work, yeah, exactly. The talent. I swear to God, if I was a woman today, give me a plumber, give me a mechanic. All these women can afford these things now. You are going to need services that y'all don't do.
Well, see, Mike, I don't think it's just about the job. I also think it's about the mentality. I don't think any woman would have an issue. I mean, I'll say most women would have an issue, even if she's educated, dating a
Plumber
blue
or
collar
electrician.
worker.
They
Right?
do. They
Hold on.
do.
No, what I was saying is, but what they don't necessarily want is them to stay there at some point. Is okay, let's elevate. Are you always going to be working underneath somebody, not maximizing your full potential by owning the plumber, a plumbing company of your own? Things like that is the mentality
Hold
that
on, hold on.
I
This
think.
is this is this is something that's very important to note.
Mhm.
Not only can everyone not facilitate that dream that way, it
I
is not a
agree.
requirement. I am an entrepreneur. My wife is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is extremely dangerous, especially when you have children. The best thing that ever happened to most people on this earth is a job with benefits. Because the second you go out on your own, those shits are gone.
Mhm.
That's a
I
fact.
agree.
You your own health care, you
That's
paying
why I
for.
got
You don't
married
even qualify for
legally
Obamacare.
first.
Like,
Agree, but
what are
let's be
people
on
talking
the
about? So,
but
if you want to know why the passport brothers are out here finding women, the women in other countries, their biggest claim to fame, like the one thing they can't get enough of, Filipino women, Hispanic women, a man with benefits, i.e., a Navy person, where that's a government money is the most guaranteed money in the world.
Oh, we
That
know.
is their
Mhm.
dream to have a man like that. They actually don't want him to go out on business on his own. Don't leave the government. They
But that's
always
not.
say.
We
that's
get
not what
that.
I'm
That's
saying.
we're not saying government jobs. You're taking government and putting it in. What
Well,
she's
I'm just
saying
saying,
is what
do
she's
not
saying.
leave.
We're,
Yeah.
we're saying specifically for the jobs that you're talking about, no other job but the electrician and the plumber. I
Hmm.
think that what she is saying is you can't capitalize on that being that plumber who is the mega money
Yeah.
plumber working for somebody else because he's in your pot. He's taking your talent and he's
So
making off of because the man who
I want
owns
y'all to open up Thumbtack right now. All of these men have side hustles. They're
Mhm.
not going to. The thing is that I think if you are willing to take a man who side hustles his way to that
Yeah,
extra dough,
they
that's
find
the
a way.
safe bet. Do not ask him to own the whole company. Go
Well,
on Thumbtack right now and look at how many people that are
what
willing to come
well,
to your house
again,
after
the
they get off
side
work.
hustle to me is still the mentality. That's what
But
I'm
the
trying to say.
Most men, most men are actually doing that. That's the crazy part about it. They're actually doing it.
but but young
That's a
women want
fact.
the look of owning his own business or having his
Exactly.
name on the truck or whatever. But
Exactly.
but that's true too because I know from working at the breakfast restaurant that there were guys who were formerly plumbers or electricians and then they just started getting into helping people who want their houses flipped or whatever and they would
Mhm.
do the whole dang thing. So that was I mean
And that's
I
my
thought that was really
point.
cool too.
Again, that's the mindset that I'm talking. I'm not, even if it's not entrepreneurship or what
Mhm.
have you,
the
Yeah.
hustle
it's the
mindset.
But
mindset.
So,
young
so
women do not think
Important.
like that.
No,
They
no,
want
no.
the
And
look.
here's the
They
crazy part
want
about it.
the
Here's the crazy part about it.
Gotcha.
At women, so not only do most men do exactly what you're talking about, most men have to feel it out until it's safe because they got families to take care of. The issue is that women want men to think like this when they're going to be like this when they're 45. They want them to be like this when they're 25. That is the difference. Men
good point.
naturally acquire this feeling through experience. They
Mhm.
have to make sure it's going to work first.
Mhm.
Because what he can do is empty out your bank account, try it out, and lose all y'all damn money. Then you won't want to divorce him.
I have a question. So my again, because I know I've raised this question over and over again. One, black women are not the most educated individuals. There's a higher percentage of us who are not educated. Okay, so this should even be a talking point, like when you're talking about the majority. The majority of Black women are not educated. Okay. So, with that being said, why aren't these men just choosing those women?
What do you mean?
So for
The
example,
women that are not educated?
yeah.
So I think it's a few things. These women who are not educated act like they want ballers.
Facts.
Like you, these men are perfectly suitable. Remember, I said these men are perfectly suitable to start a life with. Let a man, an electrician that's making $50,000, go to the club and be like, "I'm really feeling you. I want to marry you. You're not established enough for me. I need you to make more." She needs someone. See, I think women are doing this thing. I think I got it nailed down. If a woman, let's say, tried some college, women that don't qualify to be housewives want to be housewives. They want a man to finance their luxury up front.
Mm.
You don't cook, you don't clean. You won't even be an asset to him. So this is the thing. It's like, you want to come stay in my apartment? No, you can buy me a house. And maybe in 5 years we can buy a house. Well, you ain't enough for me. That's what the average man has to do. You got to work your way into that. No, they want it up front. Without contributing to it, they want it up front.
Well,
That's
I
what
think is
men are
again
doing.
that age group that you're looking at when you're talking about modern woman. I definitely am not what I would say. I don't fall in that age group. Like if you were born in the 80s, 70, I think the mindset is totally different. So I think what you're referencing is more of this generation, because of what they've been exposed to in terms of media, the expectation that they could just get on media, they can do a YouTube channel or do whatever, and then make all of this money. So their expectation is totally different.
It's young
They
people
think
for
that the
sure.
easy money comes easy. I mean,
Yeah, they
that
want the easy route. And
right.
I'm starting to see that in the classroom as well. I'm starting to see that because you used to be able to see the young ladies like, oh, more education focused, but they're starting to get just like they're like, I'm not going to college.
Yeah.
You're gonna see more.
I'll get an OnlyFans.
I'll do an OnlyFans. I'll do
Yeah,
feet
I've heard
pics.
them say that I'll be a stripper. Like I've heard these things
things you would have never heard back in the day.
back in the day.
But they don't
No.
plan on finding a husband though eventually. Like they don't talk about marriage eventually either. And it's just interesting, at least because I'm 27, so the girls that I'm around, it's like, so what are you gonna do? What's your plan?
They're out here trying.
But if you don't do so why is it that she has so when we talk about the plan, okay,
Mhm.
and we're not just going to take OnlyFans out of it. When you have two individuals in the classroom and they're like, oh, well, we don't want to go and get education outside of high school.
Mhm.
That's okay, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
preferred right now. Yeah.
That's preferred. Is
Mhm.
that what
Outside
we're
of high school, yeah. I mean,
Wait, what?
wait,
No, I'm
so we're
saying
talking
don't
about
go
both
to
men.
college.
You say
Not
it's,
right now.
I would say
it's
preferred. It
For
depends because
girls
for
and
a
boys?
guy, he has option to trades, and then for women, I would say for the
She has
most
optional
part,
trades too. There are women trade that beauty school. There's there's money in that.
yeah,
especially the
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I always I consider that. Yeah, that's true too. They could do that's another form of school too. Yeah, I don't. I think it just depends as long as you have an idea because I think I'm not against the education part. And I think, and again, I said earlier, I think people are wrong for saying that it's, that they don't want their woman to have a degree or whatever. I think they just misconstrued the whole thing. But it's like, what are you planning to do with your education? Because a lot of women will, and men, I'm sure, but mostly women will go and get silly degrees that aren't going to amount to anything.
Yep.
Potentially, and maybe thinking that they're going to be a stay-at-home mom, but we all know that I mean, just from talking to women my age, the guy that they want, it literally is exactly what you hear on these panels, or even with I don't know if it was Jordan Peterson or whoever. Like the guy that they want is literally maybe less than 10%, or it's like do you think money just comes out of thin air and what it requires for a man to acquire all this? And you're not going to be seeing that money until he's what, 45 or 50? Like, come on, it's
And
gonna.
and they don't qualify for him.
That's
That-
and that's
Well,
what I
that
was about
too.
to ask.
That's
Are
the
they
whole other
willing to?
thing. They don't know what there. It's I've said this before. You know, there's another human being in this equation, and he has wants and desires too. So, but it's yeah.
No.
Are the women in that age group willing to date and marry a 45-year-old man? I mean,